Okay, so I'm sure you've been there. You're scrolling through Pinterest, you see this giant list of 100 activities for toddlers to do, and you're scrolling through and you don't have the materials for this, you don't have the pipe cleaners for that, you don't have the right markers for this. And it's so frustrating. I feel frustrated myself when I do this and I can only do two of the 100 things on this list. And what I'm needing is just a few minutes of peace and quiet so I can get some work done. I'm really working with my son about how to play independently. Playing independently is a skill that's formed. It's something that we need to work on with our toddlers and with our preschoolers. It's something we have to teach them. And these activities are really great to be able to set up and let your toddler be and to play independently to build those skills. And best of all, these activities don't make a big mess. They are super easy to set up, super easy to clean up, and they are lots and lots of fun. So let's get started. When I was putting together this activity guide, I wanted these activities not only to be easy to set up and to do and lots of fun to play, but I also wanted them to be easy for you to tweak and manipulate to fit your toddler's interests and their skill levels and be something that's really good for you and your family. So, the first activity is ice trap toys. It's one of my son's favorites. And the way right now that we love to do it is by putting small waterproof toys into a muffin tin and you fill it with water, you pop it in the freezer for a couple of hours, and then you pull it out and you can give them like warm water and a medicine syringe. That's one of his favorite things, and it's a great fine motor practice. He can suck up the warm water and spray the ice blocks with it. Now, this is a lot easier if he's outside and he can just make a mess. But it's also possible to do it at the dining room table. I just put a big old bath towel down on the table and let him go to town with the water. You can also give him like a toothbrush. He loves to scrub at him with a toothbrush or a basting brush. Really, whatever you have available, a paintbrush, to give them to kind of scrape away at the ice. They can feel it in their hands. They might choose to lick it. My son definitely did that. And it's just a lot of fun and it keeps them entertained for quite a while, especially when they love the toys that are in it. So, some of my favorite things to put in his are his little Paw Patrol puppies or his little Mickey Mouse figurines. He has little tiny cars, he has little tiny farm animals. Any like smaller plastic toys that will fit into whatever container you're using. So, in our case, they have to be small enough to fit in the muffin tin, but he has lots of toys and options that won't get ruined when they're wet and fit really nice into the muffin trays. Then you can choose to change this up depending on the age of your toddler, the attention span of your toddler, and where you're doing it. So, another option is to just put a bunch of toys in one bowl and freeze the whole bowl of water. Now, this does take a little bit longer to freeze. You'll likely have to leave it overnight, so it does require a little bit of prep, but there's more fun in that they are working to get to those toys in the middle. There's, some short term fulfillment, satisfaction in getting the toys on the outside, but they got to keep working at it to get at the toys in the middle. This one is good if you are outside in the warm weather or the sunshine, just because that helps the ice melt. You don't want them to get too frustrated that it's taking too long to get in through the ice. And then some other ideas for kind of switching it up, changing it up, is to add things into the water. So you could either add like food coloring, or you could add glitter, or you could add whatever you have available to you into the water to kind of make it look more fun. I've also seen some moms do themed, like holiday themed, or just if you're learning a particular skill, if they're learning a certain letter at preschool, incorporating those into their ice blocks. So, for example, they'll do pink ice blocks, pink food coloring, and pink glitter for Valentine's Day, or they'll make red and green ones for Christmas. Whatever you want, it's just an idea to change it up and to tweak it to be extra fun and to make something different for your toddler. Okay, the second one is car tunnels, which is another favorite for my son. He's obsessed with everything cars. We like to use these little small papers to make little tunnels, and you'll put them on the floor like this and a piece of tape on each side, and you're good to go. But really, you can use any kind of paper that you want. These are small, so they do make small tunnels. If your toddler is younger, it can be better to use bigger pieces of paper so they make bigger tunnels that are easier to scoot their cars underneath. But you can use like old letters that you have laying around, or scrap pieces of paper, or all the coloring pages that they brought home from daycare. Like, the possibilities are really endless. And if you use a stiffer paper, they can also go over the top of them, like bridges. If you're using like cardstock or something like that, which adds another layer of fun. And then we do use cars in them, but you can also use trains or balls or motorbikes or tractors. Really anything that they can push underneath is something that you can do with those, and changing it up is really a lot of fun. Okay, and then the third one is homemade drums. You probably know that your toddler always wants to get into what they're not supposed to be getting into, but this activity gives them space to explore with adult items in a way that you're okay with. So I love to once in a while pull out some of my big mixing bowls that I use for baking, or even my pots and pans, and give my son some spoons and let him bang on them like drums. Now, I don't do this all the time because you do have to wash them afterwards. There is a little bit more cleanup from this if you're washing all these dishes afterwards. But you might even dedicate like some older ones that you don't use very often anymore, and set them aside in a cupboard that you know they're just for playing with on the floor, and that can reduce the cleanup and setup for you even more. Now, another way to add a lot of fun to this is to show them that if they add things under the bowls, the sound changes. So if they put a stuffed animal under a big pot, how does that dim the sound? Or if they just put their little toy car under the pot, does that change the sound in any way? And how is it different if they use a metal spoon versus a wooden spoon on the metal pot? All of these ways that they can explore really an early introduction to physics. They don't even realize that's something that they're learning, but they're learning about how sound is dampened. And just really give them space to explore that, and you might be surprised what they figure out how to do. Okay, and then the last activity is a color scavenger hunt. So I have the most recent one I made here for my son, if I can kind of get the light to go for me. So this is just a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock that then I took Sharpies and colored some spots on it of the different colors of the rainbow. I do have them labeled. You don't have to do that if your child is not reading yet or you're not working on that yet. And then what we do is he goes around and he finds toys that match the color on the piece of paper. He loves to do this. He loves to dig through the toys and find a particular color that matches. We wipe them off when they're all full, and we do it again. He has a blast doing it. And while he's finding the toys, he's doing that pretty independently. Sometimes I'll help him by seeing which spots still need to be filled, or by telling him that color doesn't quite match the color that's on the paper, and I help him clear it at the end and start the activity back over. But overall, he's playing fairly independently to go find these toys by himself. Now, there are lots of ways that you can change this up. You can play outside and have them go find things in nature that fit these different colors. That might be harder for some colors than others, but especially like in the fall, if there's leaves, you can think leaves and acorns and sticks and all sorts of different things. You could do this while you're going on a walk. That would make it a little bit easier to find a variety of objects in a variety of colors. And then if you want to change it up in a different direction, if your child is a preschooler, they're a little bit older, you can also make a chart like this that is the letters of the alphabet. And they can need to find a toy that begins with each letter of the alphabet. That has been a lot of fun too, that I've done with some of my kiddos. Or you can change it to numbers, work on numbers and say that you need this number of toys in this circle. So 1 to 5. And they need to find little toys that fit in the circles with the correct number. So you're working on all of those skills. Whatever you are working on with your child, you can tweak this activity to do with them. Now, why I love these activities so much is that not only are they a lot of fun and they're super easy for me, they give me time back in my day to get chores done, to get work done, to finish my coffee while it's still hot, all sorts of things. But I also know that my son is learning a lot of things while he's doing them. So lots of them are working on fine motor skills. With the ice block activity, they're gripping smaller things and working on brushing back and forth. With the car tunnels, they're working on pushing and navigating with their little fingers to get the car in the right position to go under the tunnel. So all of those are working on fine motor skills, which are the skills of the hands, the skills of the small muscles. And these are so important because later on, they're the first things that we use to write, to do lots of manipulating with our fingers as they're learning in kindergarten and beyond. These skills are so important and they start early. You need to be working on these skills often for those muscles to really grow strong and for your toddler to really figure out how to use them. These activities also work on gross motor skills, which are the skills of the big muscles, learning to run and jump and climb, to reach things, grab things. So when we're talking about hunting for different colored things, they're digging through buckets of toys. They're picking, and running back to you with it. All sorts of gross motor skills. And then the drums, they're hitting. They're learning how hard they can hit something, stretching those muscles in their arms. They might be picking the bowls up, putting things underneath. They might be walking around the kitchen as they try to get to different big bowls and stuff, practicing all those gross motor skills that are so important to continue to build on as they grow. A lot of these activities, they work on hand-eye coordination. They work on imaginative play. Like they're very open-ended in that they give your child a lot of space to pretend whatever they want to pretend about what they're doing. So does that mean that these cars are going under tunnels on the highway? Are these toys trapped because they got caught in an ice storm? Are they trying to fill in the colors before the timer goes off so that they save their toys from blowing up? Whatever it is. There's lots of space for them to be creative and to be imaginative in the ways that they're playing with these activities. There's space to work on skills, particularly with the color recognition, the color scavenger hunt activity. You can work on color recognition, letter recognition, number recognition in a way that's a lot of fun and it's super easy. And there's also some early physics in there. The ice one is teaching them the properties of ice, which is an early science concept. The drums I mentioned before is teaching them early physics concepts of sound, how sound waves work, which is so important because so many research studies have shown that early introduction to STEM concepts is incredibly good for kids academically. They're skills that they build on throughout their school years, continue to use as they're adults, and they perform better academically than children who are exposed to STEM concepts later in life. Now, I know I might have gone through those a little bit quickly, so if you're looking for an easy-to-reference guide, I have it linked down in the description below. It outlines how to set up these activities, directions for them, what ages they're great for, what skills each activity works on, and ways that you can tweak these activities depending on how old your child is, how well your child does doing the activity, and just so you can keep using these activities over and over again without them becoming boring to your child. So you can find that down in my description below. It's a free download. I hope you check it out. I hope that you and your child have a lot of fun with these activities, that you get some time to finish your coffee today because of them, and that they make a great day for you. I'll see you next time.